Hi, hello everyone. How are you? Today we are going to discuss a new topic from 8th class and the first chapter is force. Here I have written some terms and let us discuss what are these terms in detail. First, in our daily life, we observe that some of the reasons like sunset, sunrise, some the changes which occur in the nature. So all these are some reasons which are occurs due to some force. And not only that, some live examples like some, suppose if I want to remove the cap of the pen, here I have removed. So how it is possible? Because I applied the force on this cap so that the cap is open. So many examples are there. Suppose if you stretch a rubber band, okay, suppose if you throw a ball, suppose if you lift a bucket. So all these are occurred by applying the force on the objects. Is it clear? Now see here, if you come to the topic that what is the force. So here you can observe that any force is nothing but a push or pull. Suppose if you want to push this board from here to there, you have to apply the force. Suppose if you want to pull the board from like this, you need to apply the force. So that's why we say that force is nothing but a push or pull on the object. Now identifying push or pull. How will you identify? So the push or pull, how can you say this is pushing, this is pulling? In your textbook, some examples are given. If you look at there, suppose if a boy is he was trying to take some water from the well. So what he has to do? He has to take a bucket and he has to tie a rope to the bucket, and after inserting, after just falling the bucket into the water, after collecting the water from the bucket, he has to apply the force so that the bucket can comes up. So there he is applying some force. And so what he was doing there, he was pulling the thread. So there we can say that that is pulling. Suppose if you observe in your textbook, if you look at in your textbook, some suppose if after suppose if I want to rub, here I am writing something A B C like that. Here I have rubbed the letters. So here also I am applying the force, and this force is called pushing. I have to push. Okay. So forces, that is so some many examples are there. So with that you can identify what is push and what is pull. Okay. Now, and this force is of different types. Here you observe two types of forces. One is contact force and another one is non-contact forces. So here I have written. So first we will discuss about contact forces. Next we will discuss about non-contact forces. In the first case, the first example is muscular force. Okay, suppose if you want to lift, if I want to lift this table, this board, I have to apply some force by using my muscles. So the muscular force, you can say that the force exerted on object by using muscles. That is a example for muscular force. Okay, that muscular force, if you want to lift, you have to touch it. That's why it comes under the contact force. Okay, suppose if you observe, if you lift any heavy weights in the gym, there also you have to use your muscles to lift the object. So that is also contact force, and that force is exerted by using your muscles. So that is called the muscular force. Okay, and force of friction. Okay, so let us observe what is force of friction. Suppose if I assume that this is a board, if I drop the pen will come here. You observe why the pen directly came to the bottom without any striking on the board. Here, because the board is very smooth. Suppose if I make the board rough, suppose if I drop the same pen on this surface, or on the wall, it will not come, it will come down, but it will not come very fast, it will come very slowly because it is a rough surface. So if it is rough surface, it can hold the object. If it is smooth, it cannot hold the object. So what is force of friction? Friction is nothing but the resist of movement of objects. The resist of movement of object on another surface. So here the friction depends on the contact between two surfaces. This is the surface of the board and this is the surface of the pen. So friction depends on the surface. Here it is also comes under the contact forces. Okay. Now coming to the normal force. So assume that this is a pen. Okay. So if I drop, if I remove my hand, the pen will fall down directly. So I will explain with some example. Assume that this is a table. This is a table. So on this table, assume that you have placed a book. This is a book. So we know that if you remove the bench, what happens? Definitely the book will fall down because the weight of the book is acting downward direction. That is also called as gravitational force. And now coming to the but why the book is not falling down? Because it is a bench which is stopping here. So on the surface of the book, another force also acting, and that will be in the opposite direction to the force, and on the surface of the book, so a force is acting, and that force is called normal force. The force which acts on the surface of the object perpendicularly in upward direction, and that force is called as normal force. And coming to the tension, suppose if you observe, so here this is the example for tension force. Here you can observe the board. So the board was hanging with the nails, with some the nails. So here the board is not falling, but if you remove the nails, what happened? Definitely the board will fall down because the weight of the board acting in the downward direction. But here it was not falling down because some force is responsible and it was holding the board without falling down, and that force is called as tension force. So tension force is also acting in the upward direction. So the force which act in the upward direction, that force is called tension force, and weight always act in the downward direction. So all these are the examples for force, and they comes under the contact forces. Now let us discuss about non-contact forces.